Welcome to the part 2 of MS SQL Server video series. In this video, we will understand how to create, alter, drop, backup and restore databases. So let's get started. Open SQL Server Management Studio. Here, SQL Server has been installed with default options and with default and in default instance. So in server name, either I can mention my host name or machine name, or I can use local, or I can use dot in server name. All three dot, local and host name will point to the same default instance, which is my host name. So authentication, I am using SQL Server authentication. You can also use Windows authentication if you are connecting your local database. Now our management studio has been connected. You can see over here database, security, server objects, replications. In this video, we will focus on the database. As we know, database is a collection of objects such as tables, views, stored procedures, triggers, functions, etc. and store data in a well-organized manner for easy access and retrieval. So there are two types of database in SQL Server: system database and user-defined database. System database used by the SQL Server and user-defined database can be created, altered by the user. So when we install SQL Server, these system database installed automatically. Here, SQL Server use master database to record all the information about the SQL Server instance system, like login accounts, endpoint, linked servers, and configuration settings. SQL Server use model database as a template to create a new database. MSDB database is used to store information of all SQL agents jobs as their configuration and their execution history. Temp database is used to store temporary objects and data like tables, views, table variables, tables written in functions, temporary objects, and indexes. So there are two ways to create a database in a SQL Server. First, by SQL Server Management Studio, and second, by using Transact SQL. So let's start with SQL Server Management Studio. So to create a database, we need to right click on database, new database, select new database, and here database name. Whenever we create any database, SQL Server creates two files in our hard disk. One is MDF file, which is our data file, and second is LDF file, which is the log file. So MDF file here is the primary data file for MS SQL. MDF contains all the vital and necessary information in the database. LDF is the supporting file and is characterized as a server transaction log file. LDF contains all the actions which include transactions and changes made in LDF file. So here you can see path name. You can change this path. I am pointing this database to employee folder in our E drive. Here you can see file name is blank because as of now we have not created database. So this file name will be also created by default. For more complex setting, you can navigate to the dish options and can change your coalition, recovery model, SQL Server compatibility label, and others optional parameters. But at beginner level, creating database from general tab is sufficient. So let's create. Now database has been created and you can see LDF and MDF file here in our hard drive, E drive, and employee within employee folder. To rename a database, you have to right click and rename. I am renaming employee database to employee detail database. You can see our database name has been changed from employee to employee detail. Now let's take a backup of this database. To take a backup of this database, we have to right click and in task we have backup option. You can either use this location to save your backup files, or you can remove this by default location and add your custom location. Here I am using database folder and file name I can mention employee detail. Here in backup option, you can use compressed backup or you can use the default server setting. So if you will use compressed backup, your backup size will be less or your backup size will be compressed. So here I'm using the default server settings and okay. You can see the backup of database completed successfully. Let's see the backup. Here we have the backup files. Now let's delete this database and restore database from backup file. Now we need to close the existing connection and delete. You can see our database has been deleted and we can restore database from our backup file. Here you need to select device and select location. You need to add your location. You need to add your backup file. Look, here we can see EmployeeDetail.bak. Just select this, press OK. You can see here destination database is employee detail. So just restore it. Now we have restored the database from our backup file. Let's implement the same thing from Transact SQL. So I'm deleting this database. Now let's create database from Transact SQL queries. To create a database, you can use create database command and database name. Now just press F5 or execute this. So you can, if you will refresh the database folder, employee database has been created. You can also see the complete database script by right clicking script database as create to and new query window. We have executed only these queries and all these default settings have been implemented in our database by default. So let's close this and see how to rename a database. To rename a database or to alter a database, we need to write a query alter database name, modify name equal to, and for example employee detail. Execute this. So we can see here the error message, the database could not be exclusively logged to perform the operations. So if you are getting the same issue, we can add additional scripts, alter database, employee, set single user with rollback immediate. Here we have to option go and again employee detail single user to multi-user and go. So once you will execute this, the database will be renamed. Now you can check, you can refresh here and see our database name has been changed. Now let's backup of the database. So to create a backup, we need to write backup. First I am deleting the previous backup from here and now I am taking backup from Transact SQL, backup database and employee database name to disk equal to and the location with file name. So I am copying this location and here my file name is EmployeeDetail.bak. Now you can see here backup database successfully processed. You can see the database backup file. Now let's delete the database from Transact SQL. So to delete a database, you have to write drop database and database name. Let's select this query and execute. So if you will refresh the database, this database has been deleted. Now let's store the same database from our backup file. So to store database from backup file, we need to write restore command. Restore database, we can copy the same script and use here restore and from, and select this query and execute. If you will refresh, we can see database has been restored. I will also write all these queries in the description box. Thanks for watching this video.